Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to post our episodes for free as soon as we make them.
Well, hold on. That is until just now, Bruce. We're following Overwatch's example here and announcing Inside Games 2. It's a new show that looks really similar to our last show. You just gotta watch 3 older episodes to unlock new ones. But hey, it's free!
Is this a good deal?
If it's free, are you allowed to question it? I don't know.
That's the apparent justification behind the news that Overwatch 2's heroes will not be freely added to the game like they used to be, sort of. Instead, they'll now be unlocked with the free tiered battle pass in the game, which will require an unspecified amount of playtime.
Yeah, or money. You can just buy them, obviously.
Right. If you use a magnifying glass, you can find some folks that are looking forward to the season pass model since it provides a more rewarding and less gambly experience than loot boxes. So that's cool. Some people don't mind since the whole thing is free.
But apart from that, though, pretty much everyone hates this news. This is one of those everyone hated that kind of situations. Overwatch fans are voicing concerns about the long-term accessibility of those characters and how this contradicts the game's fundamental design philosophy.
It's all kind of heavy stuff, but we need to recap the basics real quick since Overwatch 2 is in a really messy place right now and kind of has been for quite a while. Technically, we're in a transition period for the game as it becomes Overwatch 2, though what that really means has become diluted over time. Overwatch 2 enters early access in a free-to-play state on October 4th, with the paid single-player story content vaguely delayed to next year. It'll be next year sometime, but the multiplayer is coming out October 4th.
God, I wish they had more than just 2023 on that, because it'd be very easy for that to just evaporate entirely before then, but we'll see. The actual content on deck for Overwatch 2 sounds more like a really big seasonal update than an actual sequel. Overwatch 2's Season 1 will include 3 new heroes, 6 maps, a new game mode, and over 30 new skins. You could compare that to Overwatch 1, which launched with 12 maps and 21 heroes, but then again, Overwatch 2's PvP is technically free and includes Overwatch 1 content.
Got it. Sort of. One last bit. When Overwatch 2 launches, it will replace Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1 just goes away. You will no longer be able to play the old game online. So these gameplay monetization shifts are essentially just forced on you if you want to play Overwatch. Like we said, this is super messy, but free.
Not so fast, Bruce. Free is in air quotes here. It wouldn't be Activision Blizzard without something to spend money on. Blizzard is offering a Watchpoint pack for $40 that includes the Season 1 Battle Pass or the premium track on it, 2 legendary skins, and 2,000 Overwatch, all rights reserved, virtual currency. Which is, it's like capital V and capital C, which means virtual currency is actually what it's called. I don't know, man. There's no whimsy. They couldn't even call it hero coins. People were in a meeting arguing about this for days, and they landed on virtual currency.
As spotted by Eagle Eye Gamers over at Reset Era on September 7th, the description also used to include the following. Quote, as a Season 1 Premium Battle Pass owner, you will automatically receive access to Overwatch's latest hero, Kiriko. This kicked off tons of concerned speculation until Overwatch commercial leader John Spector set the record mostly straight with a tweet later that day. Yes, heroes will be locked in the free battle pass. And yes, there will be a way to unlock those heroes for free even after their season has ended.
That seems like good news. Or is it? This actually has some deep gameplay implications, which we'll dig into after we hear from our sponsor, Omaze.
Inside Games is sponsored by Omaze. We are excited to be working with Omaze to offer you the chance to win a 1987 Buick Grand National GNX and support a great cause, the ACLU. Go to omaze.com/insidegames2 to enter for your chance to win. Let's talk about the 1987 Buick Grand National GNX. Here's the deal. It's the ultimate 80s muscle car. There were only 547 GNXs ever made. The one Omaze is giving away is number 51. And of course, the cause that it's supporting is the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. The ACLU is an organization of people who believe in the power of action. Whether in the courts, state houses, or Congress, they fight to defend the rights that the Constitution guarantees to all of us here in the United States, regardless of who we are, where we come from, who we love, or what we believe. I gotta tell you, if you win that Buick Grand National GNX, you better drive it by my house because I want to see it. So for your chance to win a 1987 Buick Grand National GNX, go to omaze.com/insidegames2 and enter now. That's omaze.com/insidegames2. The donations support the amazing work of the ACLU. Thank you, Omaze. And we're back. So to recap, Overwatch 2 heroes will still be free, but now they are going to be unlocked via Battle Pass progress with the promise that characters will still be unlockable after their season ends.
It sure does beg a lot more questions, though, not to mention philosophically breaking with Overwatch 1's method of releasing all new characters and maps for free at the same time. Previous Overwatch game director Jeff Kaplan said that maps and heroes would be free. That was all the way back in December 2015.
We have ideas for additional maps and heroes that we'd like to add to the game. We thought about this and we decided the best way to add them to the game is to patch them in as free content and not as DLC.
And of course, like we all know, Kaplan left Blizzard in April 2021. So here we are. Also, the heroes are still technically free, provided that your time is free, which, by the way, doesn't apply to most people.
They'll probably put all the heroes really early in the battle pass, like a Darth Vader situation. It's still just annoying. But this is not just a philosophical break in terms of monetization. It's also a philosophical break in terms of game design. Counterpicking, or changing your current hero to exploit vulnerabilities in the enemy team, is a core design tenet of Overwatch. Ensuring that every player had access to the same kit of heroes and abilities was vital to keeping that balance fair. Creating any kind of exclusivity window with those characters, now it makes Overwatch a fundamentally different game. It's trending more to League of Legends at that point than Dota 2, if those comparisons make sense.
Yeah, I agree. This situation could be exacerbated by balance hiccups, which are not at all uncommon in Overwatch. Glitty, or Glide Eye on Reddit, provides an example. Quote, imagine if Sigma was given to people buying the Battle Pass and free players had to grind. Double Shield was a nightmare to counter at all skill levels during its reign of terror, making him hard to unlock unless you paid. Would have been straight pay to win. Then Glitty goes in for the kill, writing, quote, when that feature is so out of touch with the nature of the game and the awful balance, yeah, I'm just not going to touch that game again. Seems like Jeff Kaplan left because he knew they were about to hammer a stake through the heart of Overwatch.
That's rough and sad.
It's a really, really good example, too.
Others noted that gating off content in any way is especially galling after updates slowed to an absolute crawl for Overwatch 1. Zach Sharp calls out the lack of updates, tweeting, Overwatch players waiting almost 4 years for a new support hero, only for her to be paywalled or a battle pass grind if you don't pay. Fucking incredible.
Waka's Jockstrap agreed, writing, quote, years of zero content just to have it gated off when it finally arrives. My hype shouldn't be decreasing as release approaches.
That's true. Unfortunately, Waka's Jockstrap doesn't seem to be alone in that. Average viewership for Overwatch on Twitch has dropped every month since the Overwatch 2 preview event back in April. In April, the game earned 35,000 average viewers. That dropped to just 10,000 in May, further slumping to 7,000 in August, which means it's currently at its lowest point ever.
If we're generous, maybe folks are avoiding sinking a bunch of time into it since it'll relaunch with new game types and reworked heroes in under a month? Possibly. But the larger consensus seems to be that Overwatch 2 has done very little to convince players to come back to the game or even keep playing.
Noel Vanius writes, Overwatch 2 isn't in a win-by-default state. It wasn't in the first place. There are good shooters. There are good team and class-based shooters. Part of why Overwatch 1 took the world by storm, aside from its excellent marketing campaign, is because it was released during a period where no notable shooters were available.
Yep, and just for a little dash of salt in Overwatch's wound, a Reddit thread broadcasting the ability to refund the Watchpoint pack did numbers in the Overwatch subreddit, with several commenters posting about receiving their refunds. I didn't know you could get a refund on that. I bought that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Ready? You're ready for launch day, Bruce? You're going to have Kiriko right off the bat, huh?
Well, I mean, I guess I am, but maybe I get a refund.
Yeah, I was thinking about why Blizzard was doing this or changing Overwatch in this way. It sucks because if you pull the camera out far enough, it's pretty clear that Overwatch was a games as service game that launched before that whole process had really been figured out. And I think that they found that the season pass model is better and all this stuff, but now it's like the business side of it starting to drive things. So I think they figured out that they had to change Overwatch's monetization to get away from loot boxes and just more stable, but they had no reason to do it. So they're like, okay, let's make a sequel. And then they didn't make any content to justify the sequel. So now calling it Overwatch 2 is just a remonetization of the same game, but they don't have the content to like jingle the keys to distract people. So it's just really obvious that now it's game design that's meant to manipulate player behavior for corporate objectives, instead of just making a cool game, putting it in front of you, and then leaving the door open for money if you want it. I don't know, Bruce, what do you think? Why do you think Blizzard is changing Overwatch like this and in this way?
You nailed it. You're right on with all of your logic there. Usually, Lawrence, you and I agree when it comes to your logic of why companies doing what they're doing, and it's always to make money. And they have to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. They have to make sure that they're growing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The only catch is I played Overwatch 2, and I played a good amount of it, and it's really fun. And it's one of those things where the more that I play these games that they keep shitting on, like Battlefield or Cyberpunk or Overwatch, is that I can't recommend them because there's so much negative press around what they're doing. And like, I absolutely disagree with their monetization models. And I hate that they're trying to lock heroes behind a battle pass. It's not making sense because Overwatch is all about balance. It always has been. Activision Blizzard, this company's worth $70 billion. Just give us the heroes at the top and then make more skins or something. Put them in the battle pass. I promise that'll make everybody happy. And then people will actually play the game and they'll get hooked like you were talking about versus having to like jump through a bunch of hoops just to get to the game that we know is fun.
Yeah. Or even trying to figure out what the game is or what state it's launching in or when that's happening or it's gotten real messy. Like everyone wants their little piece of Overwatch, I guess. Everyone's trying to tug it in their direction. You know, Bruce, you did mention something really interesting, that internal conflict, the two wolves inside of you. One of them wants to play a fun video game and the other one gets hung up on all the philosophical implications of monetization and all that stuff. The volume on that was turned up way high with Diablo Immortal. Reprehensibly monetized. Actually kind of fun to play though. We should just be able to play games and have fun, right? Not worry about any of this shit.
They had just been like, hey, we're going to make 10 new heroes and whatever, 30 skins, and they're going to charge you $20. I'd be like, fine. All right, Overwatch 2, $20. Great. Then they're like, no, you're going to buy a battle pass and lock the heroes behind it, but it's free, but you can play a long time, or you can also pay for it. I'm like, stop it. Just give it. I don't care. Just tell us it's $20 or something.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's when the messaging gets so complicated that it feels manipulative. And it is.
That's right.
They're trying to get you to dance to the tune that they need, which is monthly active users and revenue. You know what it reminds me of? You brought up Battlefield. This burns my biscuits a little bit because it's kind of the same. You have to like drive in vehicles to unlock abilities that make those vehicles fundamentally better. And if you don't have them unlocked, other people do, so it gets really hard to get the vehicle time to get the unlocks to even be able to compete on a fair level. So it's kind of the same as being behind a battle pass where you just have to grind out hours to get to a competitive level. That's BS, man. I wish they would get rid of that. I don't know why it's still in the game.
Battlefield has actually always been like that.
Yeah, it has. It sucks.
For as long as the game has existed, it does suck. And people have always been like, well, this is how you get better at the game. And they're right. You're just piling time into the game, and that's eventually how you get better because you just play a lot. That's what Overwatch is trying to get from us. I do think we may be in a different state for gaming in general, and I don't know that that's actually going to work if they do that with a new game. Whereas before, with no microtransactions, it used to work in Battlefield. It was just $60 off the top, and then there were no microtransactions. But since there are microtransactions, now it's like, well, I can pay the $20 for the season pass, or I could play 50 hours and get the hero. I don't know that that feels as good. Before it was just a grind and you just had to do the grind.
Yeah, the trading of money for time has always been an interesting problem. What do you think is worse? Loot boxes or free battle passes that have competitive content inside of it, like gameplay implicit content?
My first inclination to that question is loot boxes because they're gambling. You put a gun to my head and ask me to pick one of those, I'm like, just kill me. Like, I don't want either one of them. I don't know. What about you?
Morally, loot boxes are probably worse, but from a gameplay perspective, I think they're better. I think like in a competitive game, making sure everyone has the same tools, I think it's super important for the Battlefield reason alone. It's freaking annoying that like other people just have better flares and I just have to deal with that. If we all had the same flares and they had a stupid skin on their plane that I don't give two shits about, that's fine. But if they shoot me down because they're just better, I don't care how my plane looks. It's blown up. I can't even see it.
I agree with you, Lawrence, very much. Hey, you know what? These patrons are actually team loot box. They love loot boxes.
That's dangerous.
They don't. I'm speaking for them. They don't.
I'm surprised
actually,
that they would say that so publicly.
This is a joke. They've never spoken to me. Guthrie Leith, Nick Calderon, Scotty Ryan, and Jeffrey Rogers. Thank you for being our patrons. Sorry we put you on Team Loot Box.
Well, I mean, my patrons love battle passes. Can't get enough of them, and they want everyone to know it. Kyle Ellis, Raolo, Ray Pichardo, and Toasty Ghosty. Thank you for your battle pass love and your support on our Patreon.